People are looking for a lot of skin and flesh and sounds and flapping and all that stuff, and they forget that really most of the intimacy takes place between the eyes. It takes place before the touch, when no one is touching. You know, when true lovers are in the room, even though they may not be making out in the back of the room, you feel the sparks going back and forth, and that was something that Oprah and I both felt. Because we are reflections, you can only reflect that's what's in front of you. You know, you can project what you want, but it can only be reflected if it's received and it's of a similar nature. And, you know, I'm convinced that we have been lovers in past lives, and we will be lovers in future lives. Wow, I know we're starting a bit late. We're trying to get some stuff loaded up that we won't be able to use, so we're going to do it a little differently now. We're going to do it manually, eye to eye, person to person.
Well, aren't we just off to an amazing start? Hello, all of my fabulous, beautiful people, and how are you all doing today? I hope that you are all doing very, very well. So, Terrence Howard, the actor from Hustle and Flow, which was a very big movie when I was in high school, by the way. You know it's hot out here for a pimp. Okay, I won't do that again, I promise. But he went to Oxford and did a little speech, and I want to react to it because I think it's funny as hell. So, without further ado, let's get into it. As you see, we're off to a great start.
I'm Terrence Howard, and I'm so honored to have been invited here to speak at Oxford. Chris is so magnificent. He's been the kindest person, and he's really an angel for you guys because he can bring a ton of people here just with his kind words.
And why was Terrence Howard brought to Oxford to do this speech? I'm not really sure, but I am totally here for it.
How many of you are interested in acting?
Oh, is that why?
None. Great. Maybe a couple of y'all.
I was before becoming a mom and a YouTuber. Oh, for fuck's sakes, I can actually call myself that now.
So, you know I didn't have any training as an actor, right?
Come again?
You know I didn't have any training as an actor, right?
Huh?
You know I didn't have any training as an actor, right?
No?
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 No. You know, I grew up in a real bad part of Cleveland, Ohio. Wore little girls' dresses for the first 2 years of my life because we didn't have any money.
Come again?
Wore little girls' dresses for the first 2 years of my life because we didn't have any money.
My name is Terrence Howard, and my mother wishes that she gave birth to a girl. Seriously, I'm not really sure why I decided to tell everyone that, but that might explain a few things as we go forward.
For clothes for me. I managed to climb my way out of there by doing a fancy little thing called lying. You know? You guys do any of that? Back in 1986, when I started working in this business, there was no thing called the internet. So when I put my first resume together, since I was trying to go and get jobs, I'd go knock at doors and go and do castings, and nobody would take me seriously because I didn't have an agent and I didn't have a resume. So I put together a 3-page resume of all the projects that I wanted to do. And I put my name on them, starring in all these things. And that was my first resume.
Ladies and gentlemen, Terrence Howard has come to teach the students of Oxford how to lie on their resume to get jobs. Isn't that wonderful? I bet his buddy Chris there is really happy to have invited him.
And it got me into the door, and as time went on over the last 35 years, I filled up that thing, so it's no more lies on my resume. It's all truth. But it wasn't lies then, it was what I was going to make happen.
He wasn't lying. He was just doing the law of attraction, guys. It's totally fine. Go teach the kids at Oxford all about that.
And that's what I want to say. Most of what you are trying to accomplish today or tomorrow is the same thing you were trying to accomplish 20 years ago.
I'm guessing most of the kids at Oxford watching this are 20, Terrence, but continue.
You're the same person that you were then. If you lose that little spark that kept you motivated, that little piece, like this is my vocation. I love acting half the time, but there's some downfalls of it. You know, a lot of actors end up with personality identity crisis and conflicts because you have so many characters you're playing. And if you really commit to the characters, you become like a piece of clothing and your body becomes what they put on. And the character has a tendency of wanting to own you.
Should we call for some help?
They don't let go. What you saw in Anthony Hopkins and Hannibal Lecter, that monster lives in him.
All right, someone get the straitjackets. He's damn well lost his mind.
That's why we believed it. He had to tap into something very ugly in our human nature sometimes. And as an actor, sometimes I tap into beautiful things. But like with Lucius, and the character I play with Lucius, his life is filled with turmoil. So 90% of the day I'm walking around carrying his turmoil and also the turmoil from me and my own family.
Now, this is an interesting concept because what Terrence is talking about here is method acting. And that's a very common thing that's used by actors in order to portray the character better. However, they learn how to leave the acting at work, and then when they come home, they are no longer taking their work home with them. And I think that self-care and some balance there is what Terrence needs. And therefore, I'm not really sure why he's out here giving people advice on this. It sounds like he hasn't gotten a hold of it himself. You should never be carrying the burden of the characters that you play in your real life to the point where it affects your real life. Do not do that. He just has a very weird way of putting this, and I'm not really sure where he's going with this whole topic. So I guess let's find out.
And then how do you have time to really bring yourself back to who you are? Because that's the most important thing. That's the thing that's going to bother you more than anything else. You will look at yourself one day and you won't know who you are because you don't remember who you were. You know, sometime along the way, or maybe at 13 or 14, we let go of the little person that kept us going.
The little person who kept us going?
That little person that was always there. I got you, man. I'm here. I got you. Don't go in there. I ain't going in there. That person.
Oh, our intuition. I was like, Terrence Howard got a midget in his head, y'all.
When we get about 13 or 14, we get embarrassed of him. And we push him aside and we don't listen to him anymore. And he's always knocking. Hey, hey. And after so long of a time, maybe 10, 15 years, you don't even know him. You show up at your own door and you don't even know who you are. Your family doesn't know who you are. So it's important, no matter what you do, no matter what challenges you go through, you remember who you are.
Again, in theory, this isn't the worst advice. If Terrence Howard had come to Oxford and then just done a little speech like this, where he talked about method acting and how you cannot let the characters take over who you are as a person, don't forget who you are, and no matter what you do, stay humble, etc., etc., this would have been a decent little talk, and none of us would have been reacting to it, but he had to keep on talking and go into other things, so that's why we're here. But again, this is not the worst advice. I wish he had just stopped here. I mean, we could have done without hearing about how he wore a dress for the first 2 years of his life.
Wore little girls' dresses for the first 2 years of my life because we didn't have any money.
But I'm not expecting him to be perfect, okay?
You may think you've been here for 20 years on this planet, but we know that energy, it is forever. It doesn't die. It continually recycles itself. So you know that you've been a trilobite 350 million years ago, or some part of it. Some parts of you were part of a pterodactyl.
A pterodactyl? Really? Okay, this is getting weird now.
Every one of us have been a part of everything in this universe. So if we tap into those things in ourselves and remember those things in ourselves, we have that power.
Like you want me to remember being a pterodactyl in a past life?
Now, my vocation has been an actor, and I've loved that. I've been able to take care of my family as an actor, but that's never been my passion.
Okay, wait, acting was never his passion, so what the heck we here for then, Terrence?
I was an actor because it was like Jesus walking on water for tips, because he could do it. That's what he did. It was a natural thing for him. I've always been an empath. I've always been emotionally connected to everything. But the thing that I was most spiritually connected to, that was my driving force, was physics.
Oh Lord, here we go.
It was wondering how the universe really came to be. And I fell in love with this thing called the flower of life. You guys know Da Vinci? Do you know what he spent most of his life trying to figure out? Who in here knows the flower of life? Couple? I'm gonna get you something. Because I want you guys to know.
Do you want me to hold it?
Huh?
Do you want me to hold it? Okay.
No, I'm gonna hold it up. I want you guys to know about a 6,000-year-old secret. 6,000 years, mankind has been trying to decipher this one little thing called the flower of life. Now, do you know the flower of life?
I want to know how an actor deciphered the flower of life when Da Vinci couldn't.
Have you guys ever seen this before? Now, you know this is one of the oldest symbols in human history, right? Or do you not know?
Only Terrence Howard knows. He's an absolute genius.
This symbol was found in the Temple of Osiris in Egypt, and it had been molecularly burned into the wall. And it's 6,000 years old. This same symbol has been found in the forbidden temples in China, sitting under the fufu dogs. And the foot on it, the flower of life, saying whoever controlled that flower of life controlled the universe. There were secrets in that flower of life that Da Vinci spent his whole life trying to uncover. There were secrets in that flower of life that Newton spent his whole life in secret trying to uncover. The same secrets that Pythagoras was desperately trying to uncover. But the problem was they kept seeing this in a two-dimensional space. They couldn't get it out of this two-dimensional frame, and as a result, they got stuck in this plane, a flat plane. Now, what Da Vinci and all of them wanted to do, they were trying to find a way to bring this flower to life, because what is inside of it? Well, apparently, there were secrets inside of it. Shapes, they got the Merkaba and all of those other things out of it. But they were misled by something I think called a straight line. You guys believe in straight lines?
Well, there's nothing straight about me, but I do hear that straight lines exist. I can draw one with a ruler. Not really sure where he's going with this again. I was not expecting him to go into physics, so I guess let's continue to find out.
You believe there's straight lines in the universe? Well, let me hit you with something.
Oh no, please don't hit me with anything I don't know if I can take anymore.
All energy in the universe is expressed in what? It's in motion. If something is still, there's no energy. Kinetic, right? All motion is expressed in what? You look at galaxies, are they expressed in straight lines? Expressed in vortices. All vortices are expressed in what? Waves. All waves are curved. Show me a straight line in nature. You show me where the platonic solids come from. Where do they have their foundations in our universe? Are there any straight lines? If you look at anything, there are no straight lines. That's been the mistake. We've been looking at these straight lines, this Euclidean way of thinking, and missing the curvature of nature. So here we are, back with the curvature of nature. And you have all these little pieces. Now, this has always been an information system. So compare some of these points. Take a point here and say, well, what's the space in between all of these things? Now, they've said that all the in-between spaces, if this is the Earth and this is the moon right here, all this in-between space is filled with what? A void. There's nothing in the void. Well, I found that there is something in the void.
Well, I guess if you ask Anthony Hopkins, he would tell you that Hannibal Lecter's in the void.
The elementary fundamental particles that they've been searching for at the CERN Collider, the Hadron Collider in CERN, I found that their energy signatures matched perfectly to some of the pieces that I was able to pull out of here. So I'm gonna bring some of those now. Do I have a minute? Am I good? Okay. Now, all of this was supposed to be on a projector for you guys. I don't have that.
He doesn't have a projector, but he does have a genius mind that's smarter than Da Vinci's.
So what I do have is a bit of a Chanel bag, or an old Chanel bag.
Really, Terrence, we had to flex there?
A box, as it were. And we're going to talk about a couple of items in here that are so hard to even express here. Afterwards, y'all going to have to just take a look at these. My God, I won't have the time to do it. I couldn't show you, but I am going to show you. I didn't come here not to show you.
Well, you better show me something, because so far I am not impressed.
Now, whether you guys are able to express, understand some of these things, Lord help me. Good confused.
We're all confused here.
What I've done is I've figured out about 7 different elementary particles, fundamental particles.
Wait, how many?
About 7 different.
Yeah, there's kind of a big jump between 7 and 70.
And then there were secondary generational particles that seemed to occur. And when these things began to build up more and more, they began to create their own systems. And these systems is what I brought to Oxford because I would like for you guys to examine them.
Oh, is that why we're here? We're here for him to hand in his science fair project?
Put them to test. Because I bet you will find all the fundamental particles that they've been looking for in the unified theory of the universe.
Ah, yes. So Terrence Howard has gone from an actor who lied on his resume to a physicist who's smarter than Da Vinci. Okay, that's where we're at with this now. Let's keep going and see what else he has to say.
It's a big statement, but I've got a lot of stuff to back it up.
Well, Terrence, you better have a lot of stuff to back it up, so let's see it.
If I'm given the opportunity to do so. But the flower of life has been opened, and when we get an opportunity, I'd love to show you some of these things. Can I go on?
Yep, you good?
I can't, without being able to show the pieces, it's a whole different monster. But all of these wave conjugations, all of these states of matter, all of these things, it's time for that to be changed now. We have changed all of our buildings to be aerodynamic. Our airplanes are no longer based on a two-dimensional Euclidean way of life, but our math is still based on a two-dimensional way. And I think in order for us to reach the future, we have to examine that. Do you guys know about loops in math?
No, I don't know about math. That's one thing I can never know about, okay? I'm sorry, I am awful at math, but I believe that there probably are a lot of loops in math. I don't know, but I'm not really sure where we're going with this again. This should be interesting. Also, I just want to bring up, I find it a little bit strange how Terrence, asks permission to keep going. Keep talking, Terrence. Keep making a fool of yourself. We're enjoying it, and I'm sure Chris will tell you when time's up.
Do you believe in loops? Do you know the square root of 2? Do you think that's a loop? Do you believe that the square root of 2 is the square root of 2?
Yeah?
Yes or no? Hands up, no? Hello?
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 Oh,
Yeah, we're still here.
I want y'all to take out your phone for a minute then. We're gonna do one thing. Everybody got a phone? Put it on their calculator and turn it to the side, so you can get all the long numbers out of it. Okay? Now I want you to put in 2 and square root it. 2, hit the square root. You'll get 1.414213562373.095 ... right? Now I want you guys to do me a favor. Cube it. It'll see right over there. It'll be x to the 3. Can y'all do it? Have you cubed it? it'll see 2.828, 4271, 2174, 6190. Now that makes sense. I want you guys to do me a favor. Divide it by 2. Get that number? Cube it again. Divide it by 2. Cube it again. And I want you to do that until the end of your lives. And that number will still come up with 2.828, 4271, 2174, 6190. Any other number that you, above 2, that you put in and you cube and you square, cube and square and divide by 2, by the 6th operation, it has moved into an exponential number that you can't even imagine. Any number below 2 that you do that same operation with, it will go into an exponentially small matter and number. This is what we call a loop. It is illogical, it doesn't make sense, and it does not make math make sense.
So maybe I'm not stupid and math just makes no sense? Throw that in all my math teachers' faces. Ha!
So these are some things that I'm bringing to the fore and that I would like to question. I would like to audit the math, the world of mathematics, and I would like to audit how we view the Platonic solids, because I think the new wave conjugations will tell a better story of how our world works. And that's it.
That's it? Okay, so Terrence Howard, the actor, wants everyone to look at math over again, even though technically I feel like they already just changed math. Just saying. The math my kids doing today is not the same way that I did math when I was growing up. So, again, I'm very confused as to who the fuck Terrence Howard is and why we should listen to him, especially about this. He's an actor. And I'm not saying that, like, actors can't be intelligent in other areas, but it's just he has no education in this. He's basically just basing this off of him reading books and staring at that flower of life for apparently 45 years, which, how old is this man? And we'll get to that. I'm with them.
It wasn't quite what I thought for, Chris.
Yeah,
but I wanted my pictures. You guys got it, and y'all won't even have time afterwards. But I've spent 45 years searching these things out and trying to figure out what the universe really, how it really worked. And we've come to find that the universe, they are abandoning the standard model, the ideas of black holes and dark matter, for an electric model of the universe that is in response to the Birkeland currents and all these things. It's a better version, a better vision of how we should see the universe. That's how I see it, and I think it should be explored.
So just to add some context to this, Terrence and I have spent the afternoon together, and Terrence has showed me a lot of this and explained to my feeble mind basically what he's theorizing. I thought the couple of things that you showed me that I thought were really good were how you explaining the story about how originally the flower of life, everybody just followed the lines and didn't understand the space, and you have the quite good models in there.
Yes.
Of how they connect together and how you have managed to put it into a 3D shape rather than just people looking at 2D. Perhaps you want to explain a little bit about that.
Yeah, the idea of, like one of the things I've been saying, the Euclidean mindset has kept us so locked away. Like there's tons of paperwork of Da Vinci working on the flower of life and trying to unravel it. But every single existence, every single example, you see him making straight lines and trying to make these straight lines bend in, and therefore he was never able to open it up. Because the universe is curved, all space is curved. And as a result, what I was doing in trying to find these straight lines, I abandoned the idea of the straight line. The shortest distance between 2 points is curved space, because you cannot force your way straight through space. Even electricity, as it moves from a southern plane to a northern plane, it always goes northeast in its direction. And magnetism, as it expands out, it goes southwesterly. And that's the spin. That's how you always know whether it's magnetism or electricity. It's the spin. Is it northeast or is it southwest? But in trying to define curved matter, I'm so sorry, I get so distracted. It's trying to define the spaces. It allowed me to see that all of these in between, what we have been dealing with is these petals. All of mankind have dealt with these petals, but it's these other shapes that we've ignored constantly. Well, those other shapes were the in-between spaces. They were the things that filled up the vacuum of space. And all these particles that I have, I think are the full proof of that. And it is also the full proof of the wave particle argument.
Need I say that I am extremely skeptical about all of everything that he's saying, basically. I just don't understand why he's at Oxford doing this speech, especially with how this plays out in the next few minutes.
Yeah.
What the fuck was that? See? He's fucking insane.
Yeah. Do you want to also explain a little bit about what your intention was in sort of bringing this up, and sort of because something you said was the next step is like, how do you apply this?
Well, here we are on this planet. Can I do that point? Our planet is moving away from our sun at 6 inches a year. You guys know that. 15 centimeters a year, our planet is pushing away from the sun. So in less than 500 million years, our planet will be out of the Goldilocks zone. Will be somewhere near where Mars is, somewhere halfway between there. So life will not be able to be sustained on this planet anymore. So if we're going to be able to sustain ourselves as a species, we have to become interstellar. Not just interplanetary, you have to become interstellar. But with approximations, you cannot become interstellar. You cannot become interstellar with a point that will take you all the way over here with a straight line when the actual event is taking place over here. When you're going 600 quadrillion miles, you can't make a mistake. You need precision. And that's what the math is about. These pieces predict the natural distribution of matter and the distribution of where you can find yourself in that space. And I'm confident behind it. For 40 years I've worked on this. And I think it's ready.
See, he has lost his goddamn mind. It's true!
So I've sat also at lunch, basically trying to get my head around this.
Yeah, Chris, we're all trying to get our heads around this now, so thanks for that.
And also, I was very, very, very skeptical.
You were skeptical, so you were like, come on down to Oxford and do a speech to everyone about it. Okay, Chris.
And I put my hands up and say that. And one of the things that you mentioned was sort of about how this applies to, I think it was the electric sun model. And that's where it's a theory that suggests that the sun is powered from external forces rather than nuclear fusion, which is the general consensus among scientists. And the reason for that is because there's not a production there's no evidence to suggest that the byproduct neutrinos are there. And
the neutrinos
what Terrence is trying to prove, I think, is that because the fact that you can't detect whether neutrinos are there or not, there must be another way in which they're powered. My argument to him is that to suggest that neutrinos don't exist, because we have a lot of evidence to not know that they're physically there, but a lot of the effects and how they interplay with other things, to suggest that they don't exist is not only to get rid of that small theory, but also quite a lot of other huge laws of physics.
Are they laws or are they ideas of physics?
Well, why don't you respond to that and talk about how a lot of people have that sort of narrow mindset?
Okay, what is happening right now? Basically, now the laws of physics are just ideas of physics. So what, do we just throw them all out the window? I'm just wondering, what are we doing here on this earth?
You talked about identity.
Yeah, the identity element. And then the things that make our math works. Like if I said to you, what's 1 times 1? What'd you say, 1? It equals 1? Now, what would Newton say is that? Action times an action. That's a reaction, right? Anybody in here that thinks 1 times 1 equals 1, then you give me 2 pounds and I'll give you a pound back. And we'll call that even, right? Because 1 times 1 equals 1. an unbalanced equation. What we need to do is, the first thing in math is you're supposed to have a balanced equation. 1 times 1 equaling 1 is an unbalanced equation. But the identity element, which is like the Jim Crow laws of the 60s, they say that anything multiplied by 1 becomes that same number as itself. Well, the laws of physics has to break down in order for that to take place. Action and reaction for 1 times 1 to equal 1. In comparison to if I said, what's a dollar times a dollar? Anybody know it's a dollar? Well, what's a dime times a dime, or 10 pence?
10 pence, yeah.
10 pence times 10 pence? That's a pound, right? 10 pence times 10 pence? Is that right, honey? Yes. What about 100 pence times 100 pence? That's a dollar times a pound, right? That's $100, ain't it? What about a quarter? What about 4 quarters times 4 quarters? That's a dollar, right? That's a pound, right? Well, that's $4. Now, all of these things are legal. The banks can say a dollar times a dollar is a dollar and give you that. Or the banks can say to a friend, a dollar times a dollar is a quarter times a quarter. It's 4 quarters times 4 quarters, and give that person $4. They can say to another person, a dollar times a dollar is 100 pence times 100 pence. That person gets $100. So that money is generated. And this is all legal. Do you think it's not happening in the banks? This is what 1 times 1 equaling 1 has got us. This inconsistency of our monies and our economy is sitting in the balance. And the rest of our future is sitting in the balance because our science has been stunted as a result of the problems in mathematics, because math asks for the basic laws of physics to break down in order for 1 times 1 to equal 1. In order for 1 times 0 to equal nothing, laws of conservation of energy has to disappear. And math is the foundating laws of math is supposed to support the laws of physics. They are arm in arm. They cannot be in controversy with each other. So we need an audit on the Platonic solids, we need an audit on the square root of 2, and we need an audit on action and reaction, or we either got to get rid of, we say 1 times 1 equals 1, and there's no action and reaction. One or the other. You can't have both.
Okay, Terrence, now you're giving me a goddamn headache, and I'm getting kind of upset because I can't do this. Listen, I am no good at math, but I can definitely tell you that 1 times 1 equals 1. And if I give you 2 pounds of something, you only give me 1 pound back. You ripping me off, and that better not be my pod, okay? Because I need that shit. So I'm just saying that's not how this works, Terrence. That's not how it works. Anyway, this is giving me a headache. It's pretty much done.
And until we make that change, we're in trouble. We're going to be stunted as a species.
Oh my God, we're all gonna die! According to Terrence Howard, we are all going to die if we don't change our DNA, and he does go more into that. I'm not going to get all into that right now because I do want to continue and talk about a few other things to do with him and who he actually is and etc. I want to get into that a bit more, but I do want to just go through one of the questions that was asked and then his answer, because it did get like really serious, and I was kind of like, whoa, bud, what's this all about? And I think you will be too. So I do want to just play that, but this is basically the whole sum up of everything that he said in this speech. I will leave the link down below if you do want to go and watch the whole thing in its entirety, and I recommend you do. As you see, it's a good laugh.
Anyone? Yeah, let's go to you.
Hey Terrence, my name is Carrick, and I'm originally from Atlanta, Georgia. And so earlier you mentioned about acting, and I just had a question about the entertainment industry. Being that I'm from Atlanta, everyone swears they're a rapper or that they can rap. Even my grandma said she was dropping a gospel mixtape. So that's dropping this spring apparently. And so I have an older brother who actually wants to get into the music industry. And it got me thinking about Hustle and Flow. It probably wasn't as gritty as Hustle and Flow was, but he's really trying to get his name out there. And so my question to you is, what advice would you have for someone who's trying to break into the entertainment industry, whether it be acting or music? Also, I got a copy of his songs on here if you want to listen to it on the way back home.
Yeah, you get it.
Well, you just said it right. You said break into the business. How do you break into something?
Oh, well, enter the business if that.
No, you had it right, because they don't want you in there. Everybody else wants that job. They're trying to keep you out. So you have to break into the business. How do you break into something? It's a little cunning involved in that. And there's a little violence involved in that. It's aggression involved in breaking into something. So there's passion involved in that. And that passion is what's going to drive you wherever you're supposed to be. I can tell you, oh, go over to, to 5th and Dunbar, and it's going to happen for you over there. It's not going to happen there. It's going to happen for you when you actively work in concert with your desires. So you want to be an actor? You don't go to Saudi Arabia. You got to go to LA or New York in the States, and you do your time there. And my thing is, I have no toleration for rivalry whatsoever. It's not black eyes and bloody noses for me. It's life or death when I'm in that ring. And that ring is the set and the stage for me. So I'm coming in there to dismantle you. I'm coming in there to take away any falsehood that you have, that you were carrying yourself with. I want to shake that up with truth, and to where you don't even know your lines afterwards, that you're just sitting there. So if you can't come in ready for life or death, you think it's a black eye or bloody nose, you will lose your life in that game. You go in there and you destroy them. And you break into the business however you have to.
Okay, that got pretty intense. Anyway.
Great.
Can we just show the young man's face to get his thoughts on that? Yeah, I don't think he was impressed with that answer. That wasn't really the answer he was looking for. The thing about Terrence Howard and this talk, apart from him completely losing his mind and going on weird physics tangents and not making much sense to me about math, is that he seems to give like bits and pieces of decent advice, but then he just goes full on psycho with it and gets crazy intense. And it's like, whoa, reel it in a little bit. Anyway, now what I want to do is I just want to talk about who is Terrence Howard, where did he grow up, blah, 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 blah. Let's have a little chat, and then I want to talk about a few more things that makes me worry about him a little bit more than this did.
Come on.
You know it's hard out here for a pimp when he tryna get this money for the rent. For the Cadillacs and gas money spent will cause a whole lot of bitches jumping shit. You know it's hard out here for a pimp when he tryna get this money for the rent. For the Cadillacs and gas money spent will have a whole lot of bitches jumping shit.
That's it right there. That's the money tank. You got that?
Yeah, hold on. We're gonna see in a minute.
You know it's hard out here for a pimp when he tryna get this money for the rent. For the Cadillacs and gas money spent will cause a whole lot of bitches jumping shit. You know it's hard out here for a pimp.
Terrence's full name is Terrence Deshaun Howard. He was born on March 11th, 1969, and he is an American actor. He had his first major roles in the 1995 films Dead Presidents and Mr. Holland's Opus. Sorry if I said that wrong. Speech impediment, even though apparently I'm lying, Howard broke into the mainstream with a succession of television and cinema roles between 2004 and 2006. He was nominated for the Academy Award for Best Actor for his role in Hustle and Flow. Howard has had prominent roles in many other movies, including Ray, Crash, Four Brothers, Big Mama's House, Get Rich or Die Trying, Biker Boys, Iron Man, the first one. Get into that. He starred as the lead character Lucius Lyon in the television series Empire. His debut album, Shine Through It, was released in September of 2008. In September of 2019, he announced that he had retired from acting as he was tired of pretending. He was also not going to be portrayed as his character in Iron Man, the second one, because he said that himself and Robert Downey Jr. had an argument over his pay. So he quit that. But on February 1st of 2021, it was announced that he was going to star in the British sci-fi thriller film Beneath. He lives outside Philadelphia in Lafayette Hill, Pennsylvania. He has been married 5 times to 3 women and has 5 children and 2 grandchildren. He has stated that he went to school for chemical engineering and applied materials, though he did not complete his engineering degree. He thinks of himself as an engineer and intends to return one day to complete the 3 credits, as he states, of which he claims he is currently short. Howard's account of his educational history has not been confirmed, and this is part of the issue with him doing that whole speech at Oxford for me. Pratt Institute is the place that he says that he attended, and it closed its engineering degree program in 1993, and on February 26 of 2013 he also said on Jimmy Kimmel Live that he had earned a PhD degree in chemical engineering from South Carolina State University that year. He, however, never attended that university, and in fact the university does not confer doctorates in chemical engineering. Instead, he was awarded an honorary degree of Doctorate of Humane Letters, DHL, from that university after speaking at its commencement ceremony in 2012. In 2010, he was inducted as an honorary member into Phi Beta Sigma fraternity. In 2017, Howard published his proof of the false claim that 1 × 1 = 2 on his Twitter account, and everyone criticized him and basically laughed at him about it because it contained multiple logical errors and faulty reasoning, and I agree with that. I don't understand, and I know I don't get math, but still, come on. In February of 2009, it was reported on The Smoking Gun that Terrence Howard was arrested in 2001 for a variety of charges related to a violent attack on his estranged first wife, including simple assault, terrorist threats, harassment, and stalking. According to police reports, he arrived at her house after an argument on the phone, forced entry into her home by breaking in doors, and chased her into the backyard where he punched her twice in the face with a closed fist. The violent attack ended when Terrence's brother stepped in. In 2002, he pleaded guilty to disturbing the peace. According to The Smoking Gun, Terrence was also arrested for assaulting a Continental Airlines flight attendant after refusing her request to return to his seat because the seatbelt sign was on. I mean, how dare she, right? You're supposed to sit down and put on your seatbelt when the seatbelt sign comes on. I don't know why you would argue that. Just do it. On December 5th, 2011, a judge granted Terrence's then wife, Michelle Gent, sorry if I said that wrong, a restraining order based on her claims that Terrence had caused her physical injuries that required medical attention. Once broke her computer in half, repeatedly threatened her, and stalked her by telephone and even on the internet. In August of 2013, Gent obtained a second restraining order against him after showing up in court with a black eye she says that he gave her. In a September 2015 interview with Rolling Stone, Terrence admitted to hitting his first wife in 2001, saying, "She was talking to me real strong, and I lost my mind and slapped her in front of the kids." And in my personal opinion, I think that Terrence Deshaun Howard has lost his mind with everything that we have watched from him today. There was even a clip at the very beginning of this where he went on a big rant about how he and Oprah were together in a past life.
It's of a similar nature. And, I'm convinced that we have been lovers in past lives, and we will be lovers in future lives.
He just seems to have completely lost his mind after finding out this information, and I couldn't find anything about him having an education other than this information, by the way. I don't even know why he went to Oxford and did that speech. I'm kind of side-eyeing you, Chris. And I just wanted to talk about this because I saw a really great creator named 16 Leo talk about it, and I thought it was really funny. And then when I went and I watched the entirety of it, I was like, oh my god, I went and researched Terrence Howard, and here we are. So I hope that you all enjoyed this video. Please give it a like if you do, and remember, it's hard out here for a pimp. No matter where you are, what you're doing, I hope that you all have a fabulous, fabulous day. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!
You know it's hard out here for a pimp.